welcome to this Sunday. A little bit of trucker talk. Get you some funky fresh. Just gonna play some music here while we get our first viewers.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Our first 1, 2, 3, 4. Got a lot of good stories for you today. Alex will be joining us. Help out with a story. Sorry for the delay, guys. Don't stop till you die. Hey, how you doing? Thanks for stopping by. A little delay today. Well, at least we got good music to get the show going. All right. Welcome, guys. Thanks for stopping by to all the viewers and everyone watching in the replay after the show was done. As mentioned, sorry for the bit of a delay. I know we usually plan for 3 o'clock Mountain Time, 4 o'clock Central Time. That was ready. But Facebook decided to put me through an endless loop of verification. For some reason, it disconnected me, and I think I got it up and running. We are streaming today live from my studios. I kid you. I'm kidding. To Facebook, Instagram, of course, YouTube, as well as X. So definitely thank you all for stopping by. The majority of our viewers are going to be on YouTube, as they always are. We're going to cover a bunch of stuff today. And as I mentioned, Alex is having a bit of some technical difficulties today. And so we will hear from him. We just will not see him because he is going to be hiding behind his camera. So thank you guys all for stopping by. Again, say hello to Don't Stop Till You Die with the truck icons there. The trademark triple truck. So awesome. So I'm hoping everybody's having a really good Sunday. I know it's kind of tough, especially after last week's video that I just published on Friday. That got a ton of views and everything, and it was really tough because towards the end the rates had really dropped down. So there was a lot of comments about that, and we'll talk about some of that stuff. We'll look over some of the comments that really came through on that video, and we'll cover that because there was a lot of good questions that were that popped in. So what I'm gonna do is I guess we don't have that here. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to add Alex. So if he decides to, when he decides to stop by, he can, or he can just message me, and I'm gonna go ahead and send him a link here so he is aware. And if he needs to jump in, he can jump in. So that'll work really well. Just make sure you let me know, Alex, and we can keep going with everybody. Hey, how's everybody doing this beautiful Sunday? Hopefully it's beautiful where you're at. The weather's finally starting to turn towards the good side, the positive side here in Salt Lake City. I'm gonna switch over like this so a little bit easier. We're going to cover some stories. There's a lot going on in the industry. As you know, the first quarter is over. We're doing, everyone's hopefully done with their IFTAs. I'm not. I'm going to be doing them right after the show is over. Get our IFTA submitted, get all the special states, all those miles filed, and zeros on those where we didn't travel in, to keep all our permits and everything still active, alive, and in good standing. And I recommend that you guys do as well. So if you did your IFTAs, but you have some permits and you forgot, this is your gentle reminder to get your permits, get your filings all taken care of. So there you go. We're gonna, let me see, I guess Alex will shoot me a message here. Alrighty, so let's take a look here, guys. I think I got the screens flipped over. Again, thank you for everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for stopping, guys. Guys, I wanted to cover a story today, and then the rest of it's going to be just like the thumbnail. We're going to go through Q1 figures, some of the largest companies out there that have reported their first quarter earnings. Publicly traded companies, so they have to do this, and so therefore we get their data. So, first thing I wanted to cover is, I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but the Department of Labor has issued a new rule that increases the minimum salary for employees to be exempt from overtime pay. So this is going to actually change the way that pay is working for the trucking industry. They've been trying to do overtime pay with trucking for a really long time. This is going to hurt small carriers as well, actually, in many ways. But I do agree, because the trucking, in some ways, because the trucking industry actually, our pay system where we get paid by the mile, when we have a 70-hour work week, actually comes from the mining industry. And it's basically the last industry, trucking. I'm not even sure if mining still has it the same way or not, but that still operates under that same understanding, where you basically just bust your butt, you work by the mile, you have your 70 hours. I mean, that whole entire setup. So you don't qualify for overtime pay, for additional types of pay that normally other employees you do get. And this is the case even if you're a W-2, because you're a W-2 on pay, but you're still busting your butt for 70 hours a week. Happy Sunday. Let's go, Joe. Joe Acosta in the room. Awesome, man. Good to see your name pop in here. That's awesome. So definitely something to consider. Department of Labor has issued this rule. It's going to go in effect, I believe it was this July. So this means more workers will be eligible for overtime pay. That does not cut out the truckers. So that actually will be inclusive to truckers on a whole new scale, on a whole new level. And you guys can read the actual law. If there's a PDF publicly available, you guys can go through it. But, it's sleepy time material. When you can't fall asleep, it's that or the microwave manual. So the rule increases the salary threshold in 2 stages. We're looking at July 1st, 2024, this coming July. Workers must earn at least $43,888 per year to be exempt from overtime. And by January 2025, that number goes up to $58,656 per year. So there's also a separate threshold that they've stipulated for highly compensated employees. The rule also sets a mechanism, super important, for automatic adjustments for these thresholds that we're talking about here every 3 years. This is super reminiscent of some of the EPA laws that were put in place that don't need revisions, because annually they're going to be increasing. I guess Alex isn't trying to do it. Let me see if I can help him out here. Increases that will be revisited automatically on an automatic basis, because they tie them down to a signal or an indicator such as inflation. So as inflation goes up, so do the costs that they've attributed for these new programs. I think this is working in a very similar fashion. And as we have this crazy inflation that's going on, we're going to see more and more of that happening. So let's see if we can bring Alex in. Maybe it could be just my fault, Alex. I can see that you're in here. The icon showed up, so boom. Okay, Alex, let's hear you. Can we hear you? You there? There he is. There's the man of the hour.
Yep.
Oh, there he is. Now we can hear you and see you. Okay. So it looks like Alex was able to take care of some of these technical difficulties. I actually like it this way. He looks like very, very mysterious and kind of, and he can just kind of, just pull back into the dark and just disappear. See, I can't do that. That's awesome, man. Very cool, man. Good to see you.
Technical difficulties last minute, so yeah.
Yeah, I did this well, man. I think they say Mercury is Gatorade or something like that. The people in astrology. Gatorade. I think it's called retrograde, but the ongoing joke is it's Gatorade. Yeah, that's what it is. How's your Sunday, man? How you doing?
I'm pretty good. Just chilling at home, preparing for next week, because next week is gonna be very interesting for me, at least. So,
and for me as well, as I'm finding out.
I mean, yeah, but you're not gonna have a lot on your plate. Come on.
Yeah, I barely do anything.
Nah, it's not that. No,
I know.
that I'm still gonna be able to.
I've been having a hard time with jokes today. They're just not landing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
Anyway,
what's up, man? So what do you got? What do you got cooking today for us? I know you had a story you were preparing. Can you kind of give us a little taste of what you're gonna talk about?
Exactly. Yes. So basically, I wanted to talk a little bit with the people because I've actually Hat.
Oh, sorry. One sec, Alex. Hold on. Sorry. You're. Sorry about that, Alex. 1 second, my friend. Okay, now we should be able to hear you.
All right.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, go for it.
All right. No worries. No worries. Yeah. So as I was saying, like I prepared something for today. Basically, what it's gonna be is I talked with a lot of people this week
Mm-hmm.
and had some really good questions. So I wanted to basically explain a little bit whenever you, because everybody's getting calls from a lot of dispatching services, right,
Mm-hmm.
left and right. Everybody tells me that, and I wanted to talk and eventually educate a little bit the people how to identify a good dispatch service from a bad dispatch service. What would be the perks that you're looking into a dispatch service? Because yeah, we are really good, and you can always call us and you can always have a talk with us, but in case you're getting called by others and it sounds tempting, to see if it's actually something good or not.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. So that's exactly what I wanted to talk about it.
Cool. Yeah, no, this is that's actually really good because dispatch has grown a lot in the industry. We, back in the day, it wasn't even nothing. I mean, they didn't exist, but now there's a lot of truck dispatch companies, and they're not all made equal. So that's a great topic. I look forward to hearing about that. If time permits, I'm going to also look over some of the comments and things like that. I think you'll enjoy that, and kind of going back and maybe responding to some of these things. And I just thought this would be a better way. I'm going to hide everyone's name, of course, so we're not putting anyone under the gun. And I just thought this would be more useful to respond to these live with more people than just in text. And I'll get back in there and answer, go over that as well. Very cool, Alex. Well, thanks for that. Thanks for sticking around. So I thought this is what we could probably cover. Let me actually switch over here and kind of prep the browser. It's kind of giving me some. Today's a real technical issue day. There we go. See, now we're working. Now things are moving. By the way, guys, we wrote this. If this looks familiar, the Friday's video went super popular. It was actually based on this, and the video can be found on our YouTube channel, or you can find it under super simple. You go to videos, and you will find it right here. That's the video, and every one of our videos is here, so you guys can take a look at that. But this is actually going to answer a lot of questions for a lot of folks that have been asking for this type of information, saying, where are you seeing changes? How are things kind of changing in industry? And this is actually a perfect segue to what I wanted to actually talk with you guys about. We're going to cover several companies today. Several companies and their quarter one earning reports. And we'll go through this very quickly, and we'll look at the strictly, hello from Midland, Texas, Riding Dirty. Love the name. Awesome. Hello to you as well, definitely, and happy Sunday. So what I want to do is just quickly jump in and talk about this. The first one I wanted to talk about and look through is going to be your Universal Logistics Holdings. Now, the reason it's called Universal Logistics Holdings is because they have multiple different arms to their business. Nonetheless, what I'm mainly going to be focusing on is Universal, that we get a lot of brokerage freight from. A lot of you guys run with a lot of freight with Universal, and look at a couple of different parts of their revenue streams. So, for example, Universal saw their operating revenue actually increased 12.5% from the first quarter of 2024. Their operating income, the income had actually compared to year to year to the first quarter of 2023 went up by 96%. Okay, 96%. What's interesting is that their trucking revenue, with all this good news, went down by 12.6%, and their intermodal dropped by 30.9%. All right. So again, trucking revenue for Universal Logistics Holdings dropped by 12.6% year to year, Q1 to Q1 of 2023. Same drop to 30.9, actually million, not percent, I apologize, but $30.9 million. So they actually went from 111 million in the first quarter of 2023 to just 76.7 million in the first quarter of 2024. So very large drop. However, contract logistics revenue increased by 48.4%. Oh, look at that. I wonder how that happens. So the contract freight for Universal went up by nearly 50%. Company managed brokerage revenue dropped by 8.7%, and their earnings per share, otherwise known as EPS, went up, okay, by 109%. So what are we looking at? What does that mean? Their EPS this time last year was 95 cents. Now it's $1.99. How is that? I mean, their investors are loving it. So there are things that Universal is currently doing that's actually changing the way that they're approaching. If once we get through all of these companies, the big ones that we're talking about here, let me pop in what I'll do is let me pop in this onto our screen, and then you guys will understand what I'm referring to, because I should have done this earlier, but this is what we'll do. Boom. Okay, so the companies we're looking at right now, right there. Let's zoom in. Boom. Landstar, Hub Group, Knight Swift, as well as Covenant. And of course, we're looking at Universal as well. I should have added that to the list. But the bottom line is that the logistics industry is switching. Once we're done with all of these companies, what you're going to most likely notice that there's a major shift towards rail work, more intermodal, and oddly enough, LTL. We've been seeing this change for years. We've been seeing this change in the United States of how freight transportation in terms of LTL, hot shots, your less LTL, less than truckload, and also with smaller shipment sizes. So a lot of these companies, like we're looking at, for example, Landstar does a lot of this. Saia does a lot of this. In fact, I should have added Saia on there. That was another company that I had looked at. But let's just for comparison, let's look at Hub Group. Okay, so Hub Group, a huge transportation organization, lots of different divisions, and it's a logistics company. They reported a decline in revenue and earnings for the first quarter of 2024. There's your drop. Revenue fell by 13% year over year to $999 million. And they were shooting for $1 billion expectation. They came a bit short, which in finance is considered a bad thing, and generally your stock will go down. Now, what happened here is that they missed the analyst expectations. Their net income dropped by 56% to $27 million, and their earnings per share, or otherwise known as EPS, as we mentioned earlier, they were 44 cents, exceeding analyst expectations. So very interesting. The EPS is up while everything else is crashing all around them. Now, the weak performance in terms of Hub Group is blamed on excess truckload capacity. Where we heard that before? Excess load capacity and high retail inventory levels. So too much crap was ordered, and we have too many trucks, and we don't need any more crap, so there's nothing to ship, basically is what they're saying. The company expects a challenging year with continued pressure on pricing. Guess what? That affects you and I. And here's the breakdown of the actual segments. Again, we're talking about Hub Group. All right, hey, maybe this is going to be... Let's do it like this. Intermodal and Transportation Solutions, otherwise known as ITS, their segment within Hub Group, their revenue was down 22% year over year due to a 10% decline in intermodal volume. Interesting. That seems to be coming up, actually, the intermodal volume. Logistics segments, in terms of trucking specifically, the revenue grew by 2.4% year over year. I think that's great when other companies are dropping. Well, we did mention earlier that that Universal had a lot of increases, unless it was in terms of trucking and transportation. So during what they're basically finding is that during the quarter, Hub Group completed a 2-for-1 stock split. So this is super important because financially speaking, that changes the valuation of your organization in the stock market. And they purchased 26 million shares of Hub Group's stock and paid the company's first quarterly cash dividend at 12.5 cents per common share. So they actually paid out a dividend. There's a lot of folks out there who are only investing into dividend-paying stocks because they just have this self-replicating, way of doing things where they just grow upon themselves, and then they grow based on market performance, right? So if you have good performance, you're going to have good returns, and then it automatically reinvests that on a quarterly basis. Very cool stuff if you're running an IRA, a Roth IRA, or anything that's actually connected as a vehicle to the stock market. So here that we're seeing that again. Now, switching to the next company. Let's look at Landstar. Landstar transportation broker reported mixed earnings for the first quarter and gave a cautious outlook for the second quarter. Now, this is interesting. As far as their financials are concerned, they beat earnings per share expectations for the first quarter, so good for them. However, revenue fell 18% year over year, but exceeded the guidance. All right, so they still fell. Okay. I promise you, this is going to be tied down. There's some folks in the comment section who are just not seeing these things happen. So that's something that we're going to cover, because I think they're misunderstanding some of the topics that we've covered over the last several weeks in the videos, because to them, it may be, maybe I'm just not clearly communicating this stuff at the end of the day, because the reverse is happening from what a lot of people are thinking. Landstar expects the second quarter revenue decline an additional 9% year over year, in line with analyst estimates, and their EPS guidance fell short of analyst expectations. Again, bad news. Landstar is huge. They have very large profit margins, and yet they're still declining. Market condition-wise, Landstar is basically saying that they're seeing some positive signs in industrial end markets. So flatbedders, listen up. Step deckers, listen up. Flatbed trucking, especially heavy haul, is performing better than dry van. So keep that in mind. Overall freight volumes and spot rates are still down. Okay, now we got Twister, and I believe I saw you in the comments. Absolutely. JB Hunt buying out BNSF Logistics cargo container merger. JB Hunt will show a loss until they fire personnel from intermodal. I remember Burlington Northern, etc. railroads tried this in the 80s. I'm familiar with what you're saying, and I think that may be the case. That's why it moves on a quarterly basis. They're going to get rid of the over-hiring on the brokerage side. They're probably going to move over some of that money over on their books to the other divisions, things like that, balance things out, and pay out to the shareholders. Because you guys got to remember, right now, a lot of these CEOs and CFOs have it really, really tough, because what happened with the COVID influx and freight and all this stuff going up, the market performance was up, right? And their only job is to the shareholders, right? So they have to continue doing that, continue performing. But you can't do that when the market conditions completely change and, the stock market crashes. Now, we didn't actually see a stock market crash, because we're living in an upside down world where people, certain age groups, I don't know, Gen Z, whatever you want to call it, or, whatever the next one is, or maybe even the millennials, such as myself, I'm a millennial. I just barely got cut off on the Gen X side. But the thing about it is, a lot of these folks grew up with the idea that stock markets only go up, real estate only goes up. If these things don't crash, there are no bubbles and things like that. And so a lot of the money went in there, plus the crypto bubbles and all this other stuff, people making easy money from basically just, up and down. And so what happens is, a lot of folks just don't really quite understand why they're getting the performance that they're getting. Well, the reason for it is because these guys have to do this. So they have to give you numbers, because if the numbers go down, then people are going to share their shares, and that's going to, basically hurt the company. So then they're going to go fire other people. They're going to sell off equipment. They're going to depreciate equipment. They're going to come down to their numbers lower and lower and lower, so that they can have as close as possible to the kind of returns, to the kind of money that people are used to making over the last few years. Okay, so that's kind of what's happening. So they're seeing some positive for flatbed trucking. Overall, freight volumes and spot rates are down. Landstar's strategy is they believe that owner-operators will return to their network as the market improves. That might be the case. They're very, very strong. We talked to a lot of folks who work with Landstar who are super, super happy with them, and I haven't really ever heard too many bad things. The only two things that I'm not a fan of with specifically with Landstar, other than that awesome, is that they generally work in a captive market, which is really, really rough, especially during tough market conditions. And number two, I personally feel that what you get from them in terms of their lease on operations is just too expensive. Other than that, awesome company, and certainly not talking down. So Landstar stock price rose slightly despite the cautious outlook. Again, upside down world, despite cautious outlooks and everything that's going on, all these challenges that they're going through, ultimately Landstar stock price has still reflected a positive inflection. So there you go. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. Moving on to Knight Swift, everyone's favorite. I should have left this one to the end. Everyone's always got jokes on Knight Swift. Generally just Swift. Knight Swift, a truckload carrier struggling in a weak freight market, has taken steps to improve profitability. The key points here are that Knight Swift reported a net loss in the first quarter, in line with their recent downward revision. At least they did that. The company's cutting costs by reducing trailers and tractors in some areas. Oh, I think we just covered that a few minutes ago. And they're focusing on improving asset utilization and prioritizing investments in their less than truckload business. Oh, look at that. Knight Swift is cutting trailers and tractors in some areas of their business and kind of revamping and switching over to, LTL, more LTL business. And I read a couple of stories just today about how the shipment sizes are actually reducing for even the LTLs. And to be honest with you, with some of that, I mean, a pickup truck could run these things without a trailer probably. So the truth of the matter is the industry is switching over. Management expects a challenging market in the near term and a gradual recovery. The company's long-term goal is to return to industry-leading margins. That's probably not going to happen. So there's that. Now, Joe Acosta is commenting here. He says, I was trucking ULH. In my research, I ran across an important video of a big player in the trucking industry that begins buying shares of ULH around the 1945 for 28.6 million and got my attention. I'll have to look into that. I'm not really not familiar. So I'll have to, but that sounds like something that, that might be a market mover. You know what I mean? There's sometimes we see that in the market when large investments, like we had, I'm not going to get into names or anything like that and just quickly cover something. We had a lawmaker who proposed a bill and then started to invest in the company that they're trying to shut down, their direct competitor. So a lawmaker started to invest in a direct competitor that they were trying to shut down their competitor. Obviously means that their stock price is going to go up if the law goes into effect. They continue to weekly invest very large sums of money. Then when it looked like the law was going to be passed and they actually voted on it, and then finally it did pass, they invested heavily more and more and more. Over a period of just several weeks, they invested a huge, that's generally considered insider trading. I mean, it's clearly, but that's not. So if we're seeing something like that or some sort of big players, some whales out there who are making big moves, that may be something that should perk up our ears and we should pay attention to that. So definitely, Joe, that's awesome, man. Thank you for mentioning that. Now, talking about revenue, on the financial side of Knight and Swift, revenue from the truckload segment increased due to the U.S. Express acquisition, but excluding that, revenue fell. Look at that. That's like the fourth company, right? Revenue per loaded mile decreased as more equipment was placed in a spot market. Interesting. So large companies like Knight Swift are moving that to the spot market because their contract freight is basically running dry. Interesting. Doesn't that support the idea that we're having a 13-month consecutive 13 months of low tonnage? There you go. That's how the numbers are. The LTL segment showed revenue growth. Oh, look at that. LTL is growing. Hot shots and less than truckload. Look at that. Probably like last mile deliveries, things like that, all going to be picking up. And that's what we also saw in the comment section of the previous video. So good on you guys for catching that. Excellent job. So the LTL segment showed revenue growth, but profitability declined due to growth initiatives and winter weather. So absolutely, that can be the case. Now, if you're seeing an uptick in revenue, that's fine because it could be in the next quarter or 2 quarters or a year later where that's going to that revenue is going to become actually profitable. It's okay to lose money as long as you know the long game. You know what I mean? So the logistics and intermodal segments are performing poorly. So again, your FTL or your TL, full truckload markets, your intermodal, all around performing poorly. And the future outlook for this is they're basically expecting, we're talking Knight Swift, expecting continued challenges in a truckload market, but improvements throughout the year. The LTL business is expected to grow significantly through expansion. The company aims to return all segments to high profitability over time. Of course they do. That last line was actually more for all of the shareholders, if you will. Now, guys, thank you for sticking around. So this is all going to make sense. You can see we have a trend here. Hotshots, LTL, intermodal, all the largest companies having exactly same difficulties, and the numbers are coming in neck and neck with the majority of them. Now, there are some differentials, but we are definitely seeing some changes. Last one here, we're going to look at Covenant, another very, very large company, Covenant Logistics. They're a trucking logistics company. They reported, again, mixed earnings for the first quarter of 2024. They beat analyst EPS on a financial front on an adjusted basis. Net income fell year over year due to acquisition costs. Revenue increased slightly. So, revenue increased. Obviously, net income, not in this economy, not in this market. Expenses rose due to higher insurance, depreciation, and other costs. Operating performance, they combined truckload operating ratio. So they have what's called an OR. It deteriorated. Now, this is an internal ratio. They have a dedicated dedicated segment operating ratio, that improved. Their brokerage improved. And key revenue metrics increased for combined truckload operations, while utilization, your average miles per tractor, increased for all sectors. So not too bad for Covenant Logistics. Soft freight markets and flat rates and volumes is what the management is blaming for the poor performance in the market. Used equipment prices continue to decline, so they're losing that on the depreciation side and on the sales side as they're buying new equipment. And Dale Hansen, hey, good to see you, Dale. Good to see you in the lives. Thank you for stopping by. Says, hang in there, guys. So management is saying that used equipment, soft market, flat rates, the low volume, adverse weather that impacted trucking. Basically, that was January, so first quarter, and slow improvement expected in freight market fundamentals, but no clear signs of recovery in the second quarter coming from Covenant Logistics. So overall, Covenant saying that that there are these challenges. We're doing the best we can. But ultimately, that's management commentary making excuses as to why their company is not able to make money. So, guys, I will get off my soapbox here, but I'd love to hear from you guys. I know that was a lot of talking, but do you see how what we're seeing is a move towards less than truckload, a move towards more hotshot, last mile delivery, more intermodal, a lot more probably drayage work, probably a lot more rails from what I'm seeing. There's a lot of guys in the comments in some of the previous stuff that have some more insight than I do. And when you see a thread of people start discussing a specific topic and based on what they're seeing, you pay attention. We are seeing our industry and the entire way that we deliver freight throughout the country change completely. And we're definitely going to have to, hang in there and watch, just like Dale said, we're going to have to sit and watch what's actually happening. Now, Twister is commenting that railroads in the 80s, intermodal takes long time loading and unloading. A full train takes a week. Trucking will be needed as I want my product or merchandise at the store. Direct trucking comes in 100%. And someone else, and maybe that was you, had commented in the previous video, something along the same lines. There are different stages. So you have the stuff has to come off the trains, right? But then it's going to go to like distribution centers. They're not going to take box trucks and move 10,000 pounds or 20,000 pounds at a time. They're not going to do that. What they're generally going to do, in fact, less than 20,000 pounds, they're pull like maybe 10 to 12. But what they're going to do is they're still going to use more regional and localized freight transportation on a TL basis. Then it's going to be LTL. There's going to be the hot shots and all that other stuff, and last mile stuff and sprinter vans and all this other stuff getting around the actual cities, because they're going to be pushed by the EPA and other regulatory bodies to reduce the particulate matter and all this kind of stuff. So they're actually going to change the entire way that we're going to be delivering freight. Now, the good news is this isn't going to happen tomorrow, and it's going to take a long time till we get there. But guys, volume is dropping. Don't listen to me. Just look at the first quarter, financial reporting by some of the largest companies in the industry, and that tells you the truth. Anyway, enough there. Would love to hear from you guys in the chat. We've been talking for a little while. If you haven't done so, please, guys, smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. We do these videos every Sunday covering a ton of useful information. Have a little fun, and then on Fridays we also talk about our best customers and what they did that current week and how the numbers are looking. And so I would love to hear from you guys in the comments. Let me see if I can. This is what I wanted to switch over and show you guys. Alex, you're going to come up next in a sec. But a real quick drop here, guys. This is our homepage, aftdispatch.com. A ton of you guys texted us. I've let Alex know that he and I will be calling you guys back on Monday. And the reason for it is the video was popular, and we got a lot of people that just called in, sent texts, filled out the forms. Now, the way you do that is just go to our homepage and fill out the form. If you have your own MC authority, you're a carrier. Fill out the dispatch service. You just fill this out. We'll get in touch with you. If you're an owner operator who has your own equipment but no MC, and you like to lease out under other companies, and just you're looking for a fair lease operation that's got really good rates on the growth side, on the revenue side, then you have low operating costs because we don't charge for bells and whistles, then just fill out this one, right? All the information is here. We have a ton of really good content about this 13-month decline that we've talked about, whether or not the recession is finally coming to an end, and we look at different market indicators. We do this, articles all the time. There's a ton of content, and you can even get your phone to read for you, so you don't have to read it yourself. So, guys, it's all accessible, all available. and it's all on our website, aftdispatch.com, or call or text 801-448-6363. Awesome. Alex, the floor is yours. I'm going to mute myself.
Yeah, so first of all, I wanted to add an idea of what you said earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt you. Another major reason that the market decline is, and I mean, it's pretty visible, and if you know basic economics, you should already realize that. Basically, as the value of the US dollar itself declines, because it did decline, that I mean, we're in a constant inflation. More inflation it is. The thing is like how inflation works basically. The value of the US dollar declines until your salary will meet with that decline, because that is there's a little bit of time until your salary or your incomes will go at the same level. The producers, the ones that make all the product, they make, I don't know, sodas and food and whatever it is, doesn't even matter what it is, they'll adapt their prices immediately. So what happens, you're going to have basically in every store all the products at a higher price. You've seen it, I've seen it, everybody have seen it. So in order to be able to transport it, basically you're still gonna need trucks to transport it to the stores, to everything. So basically in that whole pie, it there's a much smaller pie for the truckers, basically, because that's one of the reasons why the price went down. And the other reason the price went down is because if everything is more expensive, people are buying less. If people buy less, there's less need, there's less request. Less request means less loads, to put it in more simpler ways.
Absolutely. Yeah. No doubt about it. And the other issue is that we really do still have too many trucks. I
Yeah.
we'll cover a couple of these things as well, because I can see there's a lot of confusion in the industry as far as you make a really good point. You know what I mean? And people are tightening up their spending. They really are. Where we're seeing spending is travel, but that's a service. That doesn't affect trucking. So absolutely.
Even there is semi-affected.
Mm-hmm.
Even there is semi-affected because let's say, for example, travel became much more expensive, right?
Mm-hmm.
More people maybe are not gonna go with 2 or 3 cars, because back then you were going to holidays, you with your friend, let's say 2, 3 families, let's call it
Mm-hmm.
like that. Everybody was going with their own car, like that couple with their own car, me with my own car, and so on and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Now they tightened a little bit about it. My share to families one car. If they, I mean, small family like a couple, like say 2 couples, they'll go in one car. That means less cars on the road, less fuel transported, because the less there is a need in
Mm-hmm.
any service, the less they're gonna order in terms of that product, if it makes sense.
Of course, makes sense. Yeah. So, sorry, I'm just trying to get our chat working so it can show up here. I'm definitely listening to you, but it
Mhm.
doesn't look like it's gonna work. We've had this consistent problem.
Yeah, the chat for some reason doesn't pop. We're gonna have to actually rework our whole layover. I'm gonna try to work it up this week when I
Hmm.
get a little bit of a free moment, and so basically our stream is gonna look a little bit different in terms of aspect, but it's gonna be okay. It's gonna
Yeah,
work.
no, it'll be fine. We'll get it working. So yeah, and I will say, Dale Hansen added that the rails are full. Grain is moving more by truck, and once again, so this is good news. That's why you got your hoppers and your belly bottoms and all that kind of stuff, and you can use the stuff the way you need it. And then Adam, is it Busser? I probably said it wrong both times, but hello to you from Salt Lake City. Hello from New York. Very cool. Thank you guys all for joining us. That's awesome. Again, if you guys don't mind, please hit the like button. It costs nothing and means absolutely everything. Gets these videos out there. Last week's live was freaking awesome, man. A ton of you guys went in. It was a good show. We did it a little bit shorter, and a ton of you guys did the likes and sent it out there, and it really made a huge difference. So definitely appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yep,
Yeah,
and you
Alex,
know what else is awesome?
what's up, man?
Differentiating one of those callers, because truckers, when you get those calls every day, you say, "Hello, my name is whatever it is."
Uh huh.
I try to imitate an accent without my will. My
Without
brain actually did
without
that.
offending people.
Yeah, my brain started to do that. And how can you tell if that guy that called you to offer you one of those dispatch services, it's a good dispatch service or
Mm-hmm.
not? And what should you look for and what are the good questions to ask?
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with how do you identify, like, what are the first red flags in a caller in a dispatch service that calls you and tries to offer you stuff? First of all, look at the national average, because what they're gonna try to fish you with is they're gonna offer you exorbitant numbers. If you're gonna ask them for 9,000 a week, they're gonna say, "Yes, sir, we can do that." Always ask for much higher at the beginning, even though you're gonna semi, let's pull it like that. You're gonna look stupid in front of him, but you're not. So basically, you're giving him a trap question to see what was their answer, because there you're gonna see exactly. 'Cause for example, this market, if he tells you I'm gonna make you $7,000 to $9,000 a week average, that's a complete lie to begin with. Doesn't matter your equipment. Maybe if you're doing oversized, but even there it's a lie, because oversized is generally not through spot market. So even there,
No,
he's not
you
gonna
can.
be able
I got a
to
friend of
offer
mine.
you.
He does oversized overweight dispatch for some folks, and he gets it out of there. But you do. It's more of a yeah. There's money there and everything, but guys, there's a lot of expenses there too. Just the permits and the pilot cars and all the things, and it's so easy to screw up and
But
underprice
even
things.
on the spot market, on that side, technically there are loads on the spot market, but those brokers that are handling them
Mm-hmm.
already have their contacts, so they're not even hitting the boards. There
Exactly.
are spot freight, there is
Mm-hmm.
spot freight, but they're already, like, I've actually talked like one year ago when I started doing recruiting properly at the beginning. I talked with a gentleman that was doing oversize for a little bit over 20 years. So he's one of the big guys in that industry, and he's doing like super cool stuff like those that you see it on TV properly.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Ice
and
road
I was actually
truckers.
talking with him, and he said, "Hey man, yeah, I'm doing most of my stuff spot market." I said, "I have only one contract,
Mm-hmm.
but most of us, like, I'm home all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I go on the road whenever a broker calls me." And I negotiate with him. If he gives me my price, I jump in a truck and I go. Doesn't matter if it's 1,000 miles, that had 800, 500. They do a lot of that head miles.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
The
that's the thing.
flatbedder, step decker, you have to move around to different markets and the heavy stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Plus, there's a lot of rules about moving around the daytime, nighttime, morning hours, night hours. So there is definitely that a lot goes into it. There's a lot of times you can't operate. What does the New York congestion pricing mean for goods coming in? You know, that's a fantastic question. I've been following that when they first started talking about it, and I know that recently they have set that up. And I think actually Massachusetts is doing that as well. It's going to be insane. I was watching, I think it was one of the heads of Massachusetts, mayor of Boston or something. They were talking about, or maybe it was governor of Massachusetts. I forget who it was, but however, they were basically saying, "Look, if you got money, we're going after it. We're going to tax you to death. We're going to, you know, if." They're going to tax businesses. They're going to do that. And California is doing some crazy stuff where they're actually forcing businesses can't sustain themselves because of all the crime and high cost of of doing business and all the other problems that are in the area. So they're leaving, and so there's such an exodus out of California that what they're actually doing now is they're getting a law going that will force the company that's leaving. I'm trying to formulate this correctly too, because it's so ridiculous. They have to find a replacement for their service for the industry, right? For the people that are joining them, that are buying these goods and services from. So they have to have a replacement. They also have to pay a fine for leaving. You can't close your business. They're basically, people want to leave, and they're trying to hold them down. And like I said, Boston's doing that. And with New York, it's mainly, I believe, for the time being, I think it's mainly New York City that's doing the congestion pricing, which is going to be crazy. I don't even know what it's going to look like for trucking. And maybe there's going to be folks that are just going to drop freight on the on a border, and they're going to have to LTL this stuff. I have no idea what, but it's not going to be pretty. That's for sure, Adam. I don't think that's going to be pretty. Alex, sorry, man, I cut you off.
Yeah,
So
no worries, no
please
worries.
go
Yeah,
on.
no, it was actually a good, very good question. So it totally makes sense. So yeah, basically the first thing you want to do when you get one of those callers, when you get one of the dispatch services that call you, because in my opinion is like you never know who's gonna call you. Like this, maybe I know you guys get annoyed with all those calls every day, and I know it's annoying. It's annoying for me too. I get only like 3 or 4 calls a day at a best, and I get annoyed. So I know you guys get like 20 to 30 of those calls. In case you answer them, and this is my advice for you. In case you answer them, um, let him first be. Let him show you who he is exactly and what he's offering, and so go on. If you answer him, if you don't want to deal with it, the best way to not deal with it is decline the call and send him a text. Hi, I'm not interested about this or that. Please don't contact me again. That's of course if you didn't request that call. If you requested a call, I mean it makes sense. You would answer to it. 'Cause that guy basically is trying to reach you because you asked him to.
Which
But
happens a
that's
lot on
another.
our end. I know Alex is probably not comfortable saying this, but I will say this: we have a lot of folks that sign up with us and then refuse to pick up the phone, and a part of it is because you guys do get a lot of those phone calls. But just be aware that you can't do business in trucking without taking a call. Whether you're going to respond to information that you requested for a dispatch service, for a leasing company, for a broker, for an insurance company, whatever it may be, your business is on a phone. You got to pick up the
Yeah,
call.
exactly. I mean, there are other people that like send in their information to us to receive more information and see if it's a good service for them, and they never pick up. That's another part, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's some people just never pick up the phone and they just don't.
Yeah. So in case you don't want to pick up, or let's say you talked with that person and you agreed on some stuff and you change your mind in the process, it will never hurt to tell him, "Look, man, I changed my mind. This will not work for me, or I'm trying to do something else, or I'm trying to do a bet and try it myself to do it myself." That's totally fine. If you tell him that, let's say, a good person and a good salesman and a good dispatcher will understand that and will not call you again. Maybe he's gonna give you another call in 2 or 3 months just to touch base with you, and that's it. So basically, by being a little bit nicer to some of them might actually result in less calls for you, basically. So be honest with him. Like if you don't want him, tell him, look, man, I don't want any of that service. I know I might make more money with you or not, but I'm really not interested into that kind of stuff. Or I'm interested, but I really don't believe you. And there you'll see if he insists on, oh, I can show you and come and you'll see and this and that. Ask him some base questions. You know the market. If you don't know the market, you can even ask here in the chat like how much I don't know driving is making this week, and I'll tell you exactly how much it is, and you'll know exactly.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
somebody that will tell you straight ahead how much the market is actually making for you, that's the kind of person that you want to talk with. People
Hmm.
that are honest with you. Because if you want to do business with somebody, you need somebody that is honest with you. Because honesty and transparency are one of the things that are very instinct in the today's business, and everybody wants it basically. So yeah, always find out what he offers, put some trap questions, and you'll take it from there.
Another thing that's a really easy way to find out if you're dealing with legit companies or not, go on their website. And there's been this crazy trend. Here, I'll show you if I can. So I partake in this, but I ran the numbers actually. So what we have here is that we've booked over 75,000. So I'm approximating, right? We have over 100 carriers that we've ran with and over 11 years in dispatch. Actually, my business actually turned 12 years old on the 24th, so 4 days ago. So I need to update that. But it is over 11 years old, so it's correct. Now, I'm not going to show you guys examples. I guess you can't see it on your screen, but nonetheless, here, let me do it like this, and then you guys can see what I'm talking about. A lot of companies out there just run the numbers. They'll show you this thing, and they will say, we're booking trucks at an
Not
average
visible
of
on the screen though.
$3.00, $3 a mile. They'll say we've booked 175,000 loads and we have, 10,000 customers and we've been doing this for 20 years and all this stuff. When you ran the numbers, you realize that those numbers are fake. They're just throwing these things out there. Now, Google doesn't doesn't use that as a metric in order to rank websites. So they may be at the top, but you have to look at like how long have they been in business? Do they even have the time in the market to be able to get burned, get beat up, to learn their lessons, to be able to not practice on you and not to work against you at least, but to work with you. So that's another thing. You got to talk to these guys. If they're, we've had some calls when we've talked to folks and with dispatch and all kinds of stuff. And hey, bro, this, bro. No, that's not how we do business. If you and I want to catch a beer or a coffee, we can talk that way. But the way that you're talking to me on an initial conversation is going to tell me a lot more of how you're going to be working with on my behalf, and whether or not you're actually going to earn some money from me versus not. I'll give you one example, Alex. While we're on the soapbox, let me switch over and just show people this here. This was a comment. I actually responded to them. So the top portion says, "You're a great troll." Yeah, the market is there, and brokers do not negotiate. I don't know how you negotiate with brokers because they're going for posted rates. Basically, they're telling you to take the load and lose money so they can, make their pay. Now, I should have opened this up so we could read the whole thing. I thought I did when I took the screenshot. And I responded saying that one of my dispatchers increased the rate on a load our customer found and wanted to book. He got him an additional $700 on a single load. This was just last week. And we do this all day long for years. I'm not trolling. These are the numbers. And if you want to explore further, don't hesitate to call 801-448-6363. Now, I wish I had that comment fully open. There's a little bit more information. But the truth is, he says, I don't know how you negotiate with brokers. The market,
I'll tell them exactly.
Yeah, the market is there and the brokers don't negotiate. Look, man, we just added $700 on a load that a customer feels they found themselves. But then they threw it back to the dispatcher. Dispatcher called in and increased the rate by $700. That's $700 that they would have left on the table. Now telling me that we're not earning our keep. You know what I mean? That right there, that extra $700 has more than covered that customer's entire week's worth of dispatch costs. And then they that customer's dispatch cost was probably $350 for the week. Honestly. And they made an extra $700 on a single load. Does it not make sense?
That doesn't happen like every day or
for sure not. But this is a single load. Now let's say let's say you run 5 loads in a week and we increase the rate on average of $150 to $200. 5 loads at $200, it's an extra $1,000 a week. Correct. That more, that they would have just left on the table.
Pretty much on a regular
You know what I'm
basis.
saying? Like,
yeah, between $100 and $300, we increased on a regular basis. And why is it like that? And I've said it in the previous stream, because we know how to express to the broker the values that you as a carrier bring to them.
Yeah, exactly.
And plus, there are a lot of brokers that already know us as AFT Dispatch for being pretty professional, because they generally, I know the brokers hate dispatch services because most of them are very unprofessional and they don't do their job well, because some of them might work from their kitchen and they might cook while they're booking a load and they're not paying attention. Not the case on our side. We are always there. We are always with the eyes on the screens, on multiple screens, and we're always answering their needs and their questions. So that's one of the differences. Like if you get yourself a dispatcher, that is there for you, that works for you. Max was saying in the previous video. And
exactly.
For example, he's working for him.
I was just thinking that.
Something. Yeah, exactly. He works for him and he works for his needs and for his benefit. That in the end is our benefit too.
Absolutely. I mean, everyone.
So it's a win-win deal.
Everyone has to benefit. It has to be a win-win deal. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And I'll be honest with you guys. I know these are things like when people say, this will improve your customer service. And people are like, oh, who cares? I need higher rates, not customer service. But all those things matter. We have guys that, because of the way that their demeanor, because of how we approach them as the dispatcher, how they communicate with the broker, our connections with them, our relationship with them, and also how the carrier, that driver, basically approach the situation. Oftentimes they get loaded quickly, they get unloaded quickly, they get stuff off their truck a day early. Honey gets you a lot more bees than vinegar. You know what I mean? So that's the thing. So it definitely helps a ton.
Falcon was asking, I was saying I get too many of those a week. Of those calls a week is frustrating. I'd like to ask for the MC number. basically the dispatch. Yeah, I mean, if you ask them for an MC number, if you are gonna
And they
find
give
a
you one.
rookie dispatcher, yeah, you're gonna block him. He doesn't know, will not know how to answer it, basically. So that's a very good crap question. That's a very funny one. The
Yeah.
dispatch service generally doesn't have an MC. Properly, that's the thing. It should not have an MC. If they have an MC, that's probably not a dispatch service. It's a trucking company that behaves as a dispatch service and will book loads under them and resell them to you.
In fact,
I'm sorry.
you hit a really good point. Oh, there he is. There you go. One more time. So Alex made a very good point. So, for example, I have my own MC number. I've had it for over a decade. A2C Logistics has their own MC number. There are other companies that have their own MC number. You guys have your own MC number. Back in the day, and that's why to this day, some of our signage, some of the stuff that you will see on some of the older videos and stuff will actually say AFT, and then it'll say American Freight Trucking Inc. at the bottom. That's my trucking company. The reason that happened was because for the first several years of running my trucking, the trucking dispatch side of things, I ran a dispatch as a division of my trucking company. Now, as we grew, liabilities increased as we started to hire dispatchers and people, and just having more and more liabilities. I, as a business owner, don't want that to be divisional. Now, for a certain amount of time, that helped me because I was able to use that divisional income as on the same tax returns, which helped increase my gross and increase my profitability, which made me look better. My trucking company looked better because it was just running one truck making enormous amounts of money besides the contract freight that we were doing. In addition to that, I was also adding this secondary source of income under the same EIN, under the same company, and that's good. And I'm so glad I didn't get, any sort of legal issues or problems or any kind of lawsuits, because that would have been really bad. However, having discussed this later and as I started to grow, it was brought to my attention that as an asset-based company, it would be very smart for me to separate that into a separate entity. So therefore, AFT Dispatch Inc. was born several years later because I did not want to have anything that's, assets associated with that. This is a non-asset or light asset company, basically, the dispatch side, right? And so that's another reason why why would you want to work with someone who's actually not understanding that part? So are they really tiny and they don't really care if something happens, they'll just open up another company? Or like myself, they have a lot to lose and they're going to do whatever they can to protect themselves in order to make sure to separate and distinguish differences between one company and another. So that's an issue. Now, the other problem is that if they have an MC number, it could be a broker. And then you'll never get to the end of that. So the second portion of that story that Alex brought up is that this is a reason why I did it this way. First, divisional to help myself out, and then I'll obviously separate that. Because here's the thing, while we have wonderful dispatchers, and over the years we've been very, very lucky with our hiring practices, we've been able to hire generally much better people than not. I've had my bad experiences as well. Some of the first dispatchers that I've had have done some really, really terrible things. I've even had to shut down the company actually, or take a very long break several times, honestly. But the truth is, that brought me to another lesson why I needed to separate these things, because I never know if I'm going to hire a bad apple. I don't want to have even the opportunity or the possibility of my guys trying to steal money from my customers by having a brokerage license and a bond that's going to get hit later and going to affect me. By that time, that guy's fired. But the problem is that by the time that gets to me as the owner and I find out about these things, by that time, my reputation is already over. So right now, none of my dispatchers or myself have any way, any possibility of being able to double broker, sell the freight, or do anything that would actually benefit us by cutting your rate somehow. The only way that we benefit is by increasing your rate, which is also the only way that you benefit. So this is kind of the win-win situation for that setup. A lot of the companies that are out there, they don't do that. They don't care. If everything all goes to hell, they're just going to open up another company under, another name or whatever and just move forward from there. I can't do that. We have a brand, we have names, we have, years on the internet. I couldn't build up a whole new domain quickly enough to be able to capture the attention and to be able to rank high enough to be able to get leads and make my business work. So I have to protect myself in order to keep what I have, basically. So you got to be really, really careful there. And then Dale's saying, good dispatch and negotiating is how companies grow. Large and small, it is a separate and special operation. Thank you, Dale. I really appreciate that. A lot of people understand it. A lot of people don't. Alex, anything you want to add to that?
In terms of that, yes. Good dispatch and negotiating is how companies grow. But that depends on the mentality of the owner too, because you can have the best dispatcher in the world, and he can negotiate the world for you. If you don't understand the market, you're still gonna bound to fail. And I'll give you a very, very good example. We had a customer that did literally one load with us. He was probably one of those guys. And I remember properly, Peter got him a load with $4.10 a mile from Chicago area, not probably Chicago, but Chicago area, to Denver, Colorado. And out of Denver, he found him $1.30 load to come back properly, like Des Moines, Iowa area.
Hmm.
And he refused. Oh, but I'm not gonna haul it for free. And basically, this one basically screams, "Haul me for free." You're not hauling it for free. You're not working at Walmart. You're not getting paid per hour. You're not working in a construction site where you're paid per day. Like, guys, whoever said have that this thought in your heads, I'm sorry, I'm being a little bit harsh on you on this side, but if you have this idea in your head that you're hauling for free because you do one load with $1.20 or $1 a month, 130, you're doing your whole thing wrong, and you're most likely gonna fail in this industry overall. And this is not even in a bad market. In every market is like that. There's has always been, yes, it's not like it was 30 years ago, correct. It's not like how it was 30 years ago. That's because it's not 30 years ago. We're in 2024. We're not in 1995 anymore. So deal with it. I'm sorry if I'm talking a little bit bad, but I'm getting a cold.
Oh
Tomorrow is
no,
gonna
that
be
sucks, man.
nice.
Sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah.
It's that I want to say it's that
So
time of the
I
year,
got
but
my own apportion place from Florida. Paid the third party to get 2K to get it. They're trying to charge me $600 for my Oregon, New Mexico, Kentucky, New York. Gonna use free and
who
easy to
is?
do it on my way. Oh yeah, it's very very easy actually, Ed.
Who's charging you that kind of
What you
money?
can.
What?
Yeah, that's weird. Ed, do one thing. Vitaly, can you give them the link for our website?
Yeah, aftdispatch.com is the link to our website. But what you can do is we got you, man. Ed, text our number, 801-448-6363. Let me see. I'll put it on a header there, right there. 801-448-6363. Just text us, put your name, email address, and then what we'll do is we'll send you a free email that will actually help you get your all of them. Except Connecticut, I haven't added that. I need to do that, but it's easy, the setup. But it'll give you actually some tips also on how to save like $2,000 on your Oregon permit for the annual bond that you have, and how you can get around that with minimal cost to zero cost. So all that for free, including California, Oregon, New Mexico, Kentucky, New York, and like I said, Connecticut is a new state, but we'll help you do that at no cost whatsoever. And also,
Yeah.
if you're a new company, less than 1 year old, and you haven't gone through your first year audit, your first year new entrant audit, that email will also have a 4-page PDF that you can actually look at the questions that are going to be asking you, so you can prepare yourself for the new entrant audit, because you got to pass that with flying colors basically. So yeah,
Yeah.
801-448-6363. Give us just send a text over there, name, email, and let us know that that's what you want, and so then we'll catch that. So
Yeah. So going back to the subject that we had, so basically we talked about how you can identify if a good dispatcher that calls you is a good dispatcher or not. We could also see your work, Vitaly.
yeah, that's fine. I'm trying to just build it here while you're talking, so that's completely
Oh,
fine.
all right, all right.
I'm not doing anything bad. I just want a thumbs
Yeah,
up image, and it says vaccine. I don't know what one has the other one. Okay.
that's weird. But yeah. All right. So let's say I mean, if he's bullshitting you, excuse my expression, but if he's trying to BS you, get rid of him, block him, do whatever, tell him to not call you ever again, and so go on. If you see that he's honest and he has integrity and he's a nice person, he's not pushy, that's another thing. If you see him that is really really pushy, that's the first sign that you're gonna have that guy is desperate to have you. And you don't need people that are desperate to have you. You need people that want to do good business that is beneficial for both sides. If he's desperate, that means his business is not doing good. If his business is not doing good, there's definitely a reason.
That's right. That is
Yeah.
absolutely
A
correct.
third party charge me $600 to do them fully. Then I need them if I'm leasing under someone else's authority. No and no. So basically, if you lease on to another company, you're not gonna need to do your own permits. That's what you do if you have your own MC. Usually, those permits you pay them. You pay the annual fee when you lease on, but you don't have to get them yourself. You have to get them yourself only if you have your own MC. So, but what you're telling me, this is just a hunch, just a guess, but I think you're getting screwed up.
Yep. So here's the thing. It
So
depends what you're trying to do. If you're trying to get a portion placed for your own MC authority and you're trying to get those plates, all you have to do is go to your tax commission. Every state's different. Sometimes DMV, sometimes DOD, sometimes tax commission, and get those taken care of. If you're leasing on and a company allows you to bring your own plates, you're better off doing that way unless they're in a super cheap state, which in that case, I would still get it yourself, because if it doesn't work out, God forbid, with that company, you could take your plates and go elsewhere or open up your own MC authority. Now, that company should already have all your permits. If you're leasing on for all your Oregon, New Mexico, Kentucky, Connecticut, all that stuff, they should have that. If they're, a good company, they should have all those permits already established. And the trucks that go under that MC authority automatically retain the right for those permits. They have to give you all the stickers and all this other stuff. They have to add you into the roster, put your truck, your truck number and all those things into the list and generate all the things that you're going to need. But they should not be charging you for those things. It's a one-time thing. Most of those things don't cost anything or are extremely minimal. And in some cases, if you do things right, after the first year, you can actually reduce your cost down to zero. You're only paying on a per mile basis. That's what's happening. Weight distance permits, trip permits, things like that based on mileage. So no, you shouldn't have to. Now, the second thing, you shouldn't be paying anyone to get you your plates. What they're doing is they're taking your money, filling out the application, sending it to you, saying sign here, and then they submit that with your money to get plates sent to you and they're just making money for nothing. They're just filling out documents for you. That's a ridiculous amount of money. You can get your whole entire MC set up with all the costs and everything for like $500-600, and even then, I would say that's too expensive. You should do it yourself so you know what you're doing and what you're setting up. So because you're the one who's going to have access to all that stuff, and you want to make sure they get everything done correctly, because come a couple years down the road, you're going to have to do your MCS 150 biannual update, and if you can't log in or your PIN number is getting sent somewhere else, not to your address, then you're going to be pretty much beat up and screwed up. And the costs of not updating your MCS 150 can be quite hefty, especially if you have multiple trucks. So there is that. Now, the additional costs of permitting and the additional costs of anything else that they're doing, yeah, those are legitimate services that are available there, but they're ultimately, Alex, you want to grab that? But ultimately, what it comes down to is them trying to make money off of you filling out free documents, things that don't cost, and that's a ridiculous cost. So if you haven't paid them, please don't. Save your money. That $2,000, you could literally take that. The dollar amount is exactly the same. $2,000 goes to Oregon. They put it into an account. If you don't screw up after the second year, they're going to email you a letter, send you a letter saying that you've done everything great. All your filings are in place. You haven't screwed anything up. We haven't had to pull any money out of the bond, out of that surety. And we're removing the need for the bond requirements. So the truth of the matter is that you can actually get it at no cost, or you can go to your insurance company, like Progressive, for example. Some of the other, there's surety companies out there, bond companies out there. You can actually get in touch with them and say, hey, I need the Oregon bond. It's $2,000. Generally, you're going to pay 10 to 15%. So you're looking at what, $200, $300, something around those, and that's money lost that you'll pay, but you're not paying $2,000, And so there are several things. So like I said, text us. Send us your info. We'll get you all the details and everything. And if anything is unclear, it is a bit of a dated email. The links might not work. Maybe some of the phone numbers have changed, things like that. But it will be very, very helpful. It's a long email, goes into great detail. And one day soon, I will update that to reflect the new information. So thank you so much for that, Ed. And definitely good luck to you. If you need anything, get in touch with us. And that goes for everyone, guys. If you guys, we don't charge for any of that stuff. I know there's companies out there. We don't even monetize the channel. So that's another thing. Those of you guys who watch our YouTube videos, our normal weekly releases and other ones, not the live ones, when you start watching videos, do you guys ever get interruptive ads? Because in the past, what I've done all these years is I've turned off advertising because I don't want to be interruptive and try to advertise other dispatch service and other services that will actually not benefit us. So I don't run ads. But what I've noticed the other day, because I run YouTube Premium, so I don't see advertising anyway, but the other day I was accidentally logged into the dispatch service watching one of our older videos, and ads showed up, and I was like, well, wait a minute. our ads are turned off. So is YouTube still monetizing the advertising even after I turn off advertising to benefit you guys? So then I'm thinking, okay, maybe I should just turn it on and take a piece of that pie. I don't know. So I was kind of just thinking about it. But I would just prefer to not have any sort of advertising on there. And since they're giving us the option to turn it off, I was under the impression that I was actually turning it off. But nonetheless, here we are. Now, MS, another awesome person that I see in the comments, and I apologize. I was reading your comments for previous videos. I know I haven't responded. I do apologize for that, but a lot of times I'll read through the comments and I want to give you a coherent response, and it's really tough on a cell phone or my mind's not in the right place, so I'm thinking I'll come back and do it later, but then it just kind of falls through. So I do apologize, but I do read every single one of you guys' comments, and I certainly really appreciate it. Now, Rob is saying, 1 plus to an LTL market. If you're willing to do the extra work and combine multiple shipments, you can do better than you would with a normal full truckload rates. Gotta hustle. Rob, absolutely, 100%. I knew years ago, maybe 7, 8, 9 years ago, I knew a family here in Salt Lake. We'd go out and grab coffee and stuff like that. And these guys were a group of brothers who would go out there and just hit it real hard. They'd stay out for, weeks and months at a time, running flatbeds and step decks. And their main thing was LTL. They would do less than truckload, smaller runs, and we get it rolling. Let's grab Alex on here on the call. Man of the hour. Alex, what's up, man?
There we go.
Here we are.
Hello?
Okay.
There we are.
Vitaly, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can definitely hear you guys.
Can you hear me?
You can't hear me? Okay, 1 second,
Hello?
guys. I'm gonna fix this. 1 second. I'm gonna fix
Hold
this.
on 1 second. Vitaly has some technical issues. Hold on 1 second.
We always have some sort of a screw up here. Hold on. That's not the audio. Yeah, there's always
Just 1 second.
it for some reason switches. Okay, how about now? Can you hear me?
I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can. For some reason, some of the different softwares, they change their default settings, and then I have to remember to swap them. So sorry about that. How's it going?
I'm doing good, man. I've been on my same headset for 8 years with the 550. So truckers knows about these 550s from the truck stop. They know you get sick of sometimes or you don't, man. So I thought that was me.
Oh yeah. No, that it's man. It's not. What do you haul? What do you run?
So right now, I am a company driver. I've been trucking for 9 years. I bought my truck 2 years ago. It's been sitting. I have a glider kit, 2016.
Oh, nice.
Columbia, and I also bought a reefer unit too as well for cash.
Mm-hmm.
So I basically have equipment that has been sitting, and I've been making truck payments. Trying to get all the back end stuff situated before I jump out here because I've been in the industry for 9 years, and I also been looking at other owner operators and see what they're doing wrong because I know a lot of owner operators jump out here with no money, and the first tire blows, they're out of business.
Oh yeah. Yeah, set aside like 20K.
I see a lot of. Oh yes, right. I seen a used tire from the TA for $1,000 for a tire.
Retreads.
Not even a new tire.
That's insane, man. That's insane. Yeah, you want to set aside some cash money.
Yeah, for sure. So I see a lot of owner operators too as well. When they lease with someone, you always try to make your cost of overhead very low, right? If you can come with your own trailer, that's cool. Get your own bobtail insurance and things like that. Get your own plates. Like,
100%.
all the time, a lot of owner operators don't come with their own plates. Like you said,
Right.
God forbid something doesn't work, or you go to another company, you're still in the hole because you don't have your own plates.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
So when it comes out to owner operator, if you got everything for yourself, try to make your overhead less as possible, what are you responsible for if you're leasing under someone else's authority? For example, when you got your own equipment, you got your own plates, what are you responsible for? For example, do I still have to get my own permits if I want to go to New Mexico, Oregon, etc.? Or is that the company's, is that their responsibility?
That's their responsibility. So if you're leased on as an owner operator, if you're not operating under your own MC authority, it's always the carrier's responsibility to have those permits. So they're not required to have those permits. If they don't have them, they just can't go in, and none of their drivers can. But those permits always go under the company's USDOT, and so they, as a new lessee, they'll have to add you on there with your equipment information. They'll have to add you with your name and all that stuff, so you're legal, but you're always under the company's umbrella. And then you got to be careful. You got to know your rates, and you got to keep track of those miles. And what I mean by rates is not the freight rates, but the rate that those states are charging you, because those states they'll show up as mainly zeros, or they will be an unpaid amount on your IFTAs that they're charging you, and that goes to that state's government, and then they spread that. They spread that money throughout the different states that you traveled in. That the taxes, either they have to pay you back the money, or you have to pay them back the money. Now, what I've seen is some companies, they inflate that. So they'll add a few more cents per mile on all the other states. They'll add a few more cents per mile on the permit states. They'll do a convenience fee, or they just will blatantly just lie to you, and they just will tell you that. So, and you won't know unless you look at it. Now, generally, when they're doing their IFTAs, that goes to the federal system, and so, or actually through their, hey XC, peace, man, thank you for stopping by. What they will do is they will actually they will do that truthfully, but the documents that they might send you might be completely altered. The documents for the permits and things like that, they might be altered completely, or your money might not be going where it's going. There's been companies out there, famously out of Chicago, where they would not issue insurance. The policies were being paid, the premiums were being paid, but the drivers weren't covered. So there was that, because the insurance certificate doesn't actually show anybody on there. If you look at your insurance certificate, it only shows you the equipment. And sometimes not even that. It'll have scheduled autos, and that's all it is. And so a lot of times truckers they don't actually bother to look into the policy. They don't even ask. Those documents don't come to them. They pay the money until something happens, something bad happens, and then they're all on their own. The trucking companies just get a slap on the wrist at that point, or they already account for that, saying, okay, well, we get into this many accidents, this many trucks, what are the probabilities of this happening? And by the time they get busted, they already made so much money on the savings that they'll just pay the penalties and whatever they got to do, and they still walk away as a winner. But it's at your expense. So you got to be super careful leasing onto companies. You never know who you're working with.
I could tell you, almost out of my 9 years of driving, probably 8 of them years been with a Chicago-based company. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, no,
Okay,
it's awesome that you're doing that with your truck, with your trailer, with everything. Are you planning to run under your own MC, or?
Right now, I'm still up in the air. Eventually, like right now, I want to get my feet wet. Like I said, I have my own equipment. I actually applied for my authority, and I actually can start my authority. But even if I do that right now, I would be obviously a new carrier.
Yeah.
And I know for first 90 days or even to a year, sometimes even 2 years, I heard that you definitely it's going to be very challenging, which I understand that, right? I think that's another reason why people are afraid, because you want to, end of the day, if you want to build a company, you got to start from somewhere, right? So
Absolutely.
Not trying to scare people, you're not going to be able to make no money. You can make money. Just a simple fact, if you have a lot of overhead, obviously you're going to be working your tail off. So if you keep your overhead costs low, if you have a low operation for home, then obviously you're going to make money. Now, you got to expect the first year you're not going to make any kind of money that you expect to make, but eventually there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but you got to put your dues in,
100%. In fact, your first year under your own MC, it's your most expensive year in trucking. Insurance, all the payments, everybody wants something, everything costs money, and all the rates are higher. So all your required stuff, like your insurance, can be through the roof. A lot of stuff is going to be very, very expensive, and the freight's low, and insurance options are limited, and not everybody's willing to even rent you a trailer. A lot of companies want you to be in business for a couple of years, and maybe you put in all your money in a truck and then get nothing because you listen to a bunch of people say, oh, power only is the biggest market in the industry. It is true, but just because you're big don't mean that you pay good money. So a lot of people do that. They'll drop all their money in a truck and have nothing for the trailer. And then, or they forget about insurance, things like that. So it's really good on you to be able to build up like that. Just now be really careful, because if you open up your NMC authority and wait too long, the FMCSA is cleaning up the databases. They have been for some time, and they're switching over. Alex, you want to grab that?
I'll grab it.
Yep, thank you. Sorry about that.
The
And
caller has disconnected the line. Goodbye.
Okay, so it looks like that gentleman has disconnected. Maybe that was actually him calling back. I'm not 100% sure. So if anything, Alex will send him over to us. So sorry about that if we're having some phone problems there. But yeah, man, good on you for taking care of business like that. Make sure to get all your permits and everything. Make sure, like I said, just like the previous gentleman, 801-448-6363. Just text us there. We'll send you the permits, the new entrant audit stuff. Everything got to get taken care of. You got to set your foundation right. You got to get all your stuff out of the foundation taken care of so that you have a potential for a good future. So like a lot of people say, who cares about New Mexico permit? Here's the thing, man, that one time that year that you're going to use it, that permit costs you $10 for the whole year. The renewal on it takes like 35 seconds to get done. The filings on it, if you don't go to New Mexico, are once every 3 months. You put a 0, save it, send it in, check the box, and you're done. But the one time you're going to have a really good load going in there, maybe you're going to go to you're going to go somewhere in New Mexico, and then you're going to maybe head out to Denver or something like that if you're nearby and take another load. It's all about the numbers, You might make really good money. Take good money, go to New Mexico on a light load or something like that, come out deadhead. Maybe you'll lose half a day, whatnot, but the numbers might make sense. Same thing with other states. Like Connecticut, when they first came out with their permitting, it was awful. Not permitting, with their annual permit. It was an awful experience. Now, they got so much flack that they changed it, but believe me, if you're the one company the first year that comes out and has the permit and everybody else doesn't, it's going to be a moneymaker for you. So it looks like we have another gentleman's of. So let's get him over. Alex will transfer him over here. We got another gentleman here on the line. So hopefully, and thank you for the last caller. Sorry we had that abrupt disconnect, and I really definitely appreciate that, sir. Thank you so much for the calls. And
to summarize what he was asking, because basically he was also looking for an answer. Basically, if the company that you're trying to lease on is asking you to do your own permits, that's one of the biggest red flags. I mean, it sounds just really bad.
Well, here's the thing. It's simple, super simple. You can't do the permits. You have no way. It's not your company. It's the same thing as me coming over your house and say, I really like your house. I'm going to go to your state and I'm just going to take it. I can't do that, right? Because I don't have any documentation. I have no ownership. I have nothing. You likewise have no ownership of that company. You are a glorified company driver. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to. On different levels. Some companies are more flexible and open than others, but at the end of the day, you do not have, because you're not a company officer, you're not a director, you're nobody in the company who has the ability to make those changes. They can't have you do that. There's just no way. In fact, even simpler, you couldn't come to us with that company and say, I'd like you to dispatch. I know I have all these costs, but my dispatchers really suck, and I've seen your videos, and they're doing really great. I'd like you to dispatch me. I got no problem with that. I'd love to take your money. That's wonderful. The problem is that you probably don't have the MC number, probably don't have the insurance. You don't, not even that, even if you have all those things, you don't have the right to sign the documents, legally binding documents stating that we have the right under power of attorney to work on your behalf, because we can work on your behalf doing whatever it is that you own and do, but we can't book loads under someone else's MC. It's just the same thing as you starting up with a dispatch company, signing documents to put loads under my MC. My trucking company. You can't do it. You don't have any right to do that. And I will deny every single time somebody tries to do that. So yeah, absolutely.
I'll put the gentleman on the call right now.
Yes,
Give me
please.
1 second.
All righty. Sounds good. We got a lot of good questions. Take a piece of the pie. MS, thank you. You have a vid on the new higher cost of insurance. MS, we made a ton of videos on insurance costs. They were trying to increase not premiums, but they were trying to increase coverages, which would increase premiums. They've had several different instances. And here's our caller. Let's go ahead and grab that. Hi, this is Vitaly. Can you hear me?
Hey, how you doing, sir? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can hear you loud and clear. Just want to make sure all our phone issues are behind us.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
So, why do larger carriers choose to use the load board versus contracted freight? Because there's a lot of companies out here, they always on the load board versus contracted freight. Is contracted freight, like, is it hard to get, or is it just a big hassle to deal with?
I think I can answer better that. Can you merge the call with me?
Well, we can hear you.
Oh, yeah. So he can hear me too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if we can merge the call. I guess I could call you and here.
Yeah,
We,
you
I
can
can
call
hear
me
him.
and merge the call. That's how I did it last time.
I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but we can. I'm afraid you'll have to mute yourself on an audio here.
Yeah. I will.
Here's what we'll do. We'll merge with Alex.
This
That way
call
you'll
is
be able to
being
hear him as
recorded
well.
for quality and training purposes. If you do not wish to be recorded, please disconnect at
See if it
this
lets
time.
me
Please
merge it.
hold while I try to connect you.
All right, Alex, here you
Sure.
are. But I don't think we can hear
Yep.
that. The gentleman, I don't think it's not giving me the option to merge the call, unfortunately. So, not here. The application. Oh, maybe it does. Hold on. Merge calls. There we go. I'm just dumb. Here we go. Everybody's on the line.
Yep.
Right.
So basically, to summarize it, you were asking me.
We have
You were
David
asking
on the
us
line.
basically why most of the people, like most of the dispatchers, and not only, like in general, they're aiming more for the spot market than the contractor freight. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah. I'll explain you a little bit how it is and how it actually works with the contractor freight, because that's an umbrella that a lot of people like they try to use that dedicated lanes a lot, and they're aiming for it. So I'm gonna clear it a little bit for everybody. I try to aim for dedicated, but it's first of all there are a lot of ups and downs for it. And I'll put it like this: there are two kinds of dedicated freight. There is a customer direct freight, customer direct dedicated freight, and there is broker dedicated freight. Customer direct dedicated freight, that is like the go-to. That's the highest paying one, but it's also one of the hardest to get. And in order to get that, neither the best dispatcher or the worst dispatcher or the best trucker or the worst trucker can get it. In order to get one of those, you have to basically, whenever you deliver into a place or you pick up into a place, befriend those people, talk with them, try to get to the person that is in charge. Like, you deliver once there, you remember it, you're acting nice, you maybe get them a coffee, you're even gonna get a loaded faster, so it's a win-win deal anyway. Next time you go there, you see that maybe you frequent that area quite a lot, you go again to them and you try to talk to them and you ask them, hey guys, do you have this a little bit more often, you know? But this is if you're doing it under your own MC. If you do it under someone else's MC, it might cause you some problems. So this, do it on your own MC. Ask them, hey, you guys have this more often and this and that, and just, just ask. Don't ask them, oh, can you give it to me or something like. No, don't do that. Never do that. And slowly, basically, be building relationship with the employees, and maybe after a while you get to the distribution manager and so go on. You'll be able to build something like that. I've talked with a gentleman probably last Tuesday that has been working on a relationship with a shipper for an entire year. He was delivering there 2 times a week, and after 1 year, he finally managed to grasp one of those. And yes, he's making very, very good money. He's making somewhere around $1,200 a day, with $3.58 a mile. That's super good. It's very,
Yes.
very, very good. But those are super hard to get. And yes,
Oh.
the second type of dedicated is the broker dedicated. And that's divided in 2 separate things. There is the general freight that is dedicated, that is available pretty much for every trucker. And there is the special ones. The general ones, that basically you can book them even if you have 6 months of MC or older, depends a little bit on the terms of the broker. Those usually will pay same or sometimes even less than the spot market. So basically, you have the security that you're doing that lane over and over, but it generally pays at the best same, if not less. And if the market goes, and this is a trick that a lot of brokers do, all the brokers do actually, is if the market goes high, your quota will remain the same. If the market goes down, it will be a recalculation. So either way, you're not gonna get advantage of it.
The way it works is like this, and when we saw this happen, what Alex is saying makes a really good point. People think that contracts mean something. They mean nothing unless you have power and weight behind you. You know what I mean? So during 2020, 2021, during the peak of the market, when everybody was rushing over to the spot market because the rates were actually inverse, they were higher. They were running for the contracts, and then what happened was freight brokers started to run to other areas because they had to renegotiate their contract rates. And so what they said is like, okay, well, screw you. Sue me. I'll see you in court. Knowing full well that a trucking company with 2 years MC authority, one truck and owner operator is not going to go against a big broker taking to court. That's not going to happen. So 99% chance that no one's going to do that. And the rest of the companies they're going to be very, very careful about doing those kinds of things. So contract freight did not really hold up to its side, on its side, you know what I mean? Brokers were just still just like, okay, well, whatever, I'm going to spot market. Or carriers were like, okay, whatever, I'm going to the spot market. And they would just leave them. We have a broker that we were working with for years and years and years. And he basically said it like this. He said, listen, you guys want to take off and go elsewhere to make more money? I understand. However, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. We've been doing that for years. We have a really good relationship. However, once the market inevitably turns, which it did, and the turn has been worse on the downside than it was on the upside. So it's been longer and worse. And he said, I won't have this freight for you because I'll have another carrier taking care of the stuff. And you're going to be coming back to me asking for it, and you're not going to have it available. Well, guess what? We decided to stay loyal. Yes, we made less money during that period of time. We still make very healthy income, but less than we could have made. But guess what? Now, while everyone's struggling, I still have a really strong relationship with that same broker, and I'm still able to make money. And so in the contract freight, that's what you're able to do. It's all about that customer service. And we always talk about contract freight, getting those lanes, especially the regional and local stuff, by making a spreadsheet or using HubSpot or some other CRM to keep track of your interactions with those people, with the gatekeepers, calling in, making leads, sending emails, business cards, stopping by after a while, shaking some hands, doing some reminders, maybe a text, maybe a phone call. And that's how you're going to get, and then leaving detailed notes as if you're working for someone, you're working for yourself, but you want to do that. Set reminders, set little tasks to remind you. After a while, it's going to get kind of busy on your phone. It's going to start popping up because it's time for you to talk about that. And you forgot about this guy, but then he had an anniversary. He mentioned his kid's birthday's coming up. All these things are going to, when you mention those things, it means that you were listening, that you somehow, he doesn't know you took notes, but you were listening, you remembered, you make them feel special. And when time comes and his driver falls through, or somebody's overcharging, or someone got sick, or he got an influx of freight, he's going to remember you because you keep bugging him. You keep bugging him in the most positive way.
Give you a shot.
Absolutely, he's going to give you a shot. That's literally how it happened with us. That's how we started, because we started off wrong with a box truck. And that's what happened with us. Had it not been for those customers, we would have been out of business. Literally, we wouldn't have been here.
And to finish the idea that I was saying, so basically that's the general contracted freight from the spot market, and there is the special one. There are some spot market contracted freight that pays really well. However, there are certain certain requirements that you need to meet. I've seen, for example, there was a guy that contacted properly on the A2C side. That was a couple of years ago when I was working with the A2C side a little bit more. Basically, they wanted to give us a contracted freight, basically, but their requirements was like that: 30 trucks minimum of the fleet, to have disponibility of at least 5 trucks every day in 150 miles radius of that warehouse. Every day, doesn't matter what it is. And for every missed request of a haul, of a load, basically, is in between $3,000 to $10,000 fine.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
God.
yes, there are some things that pay more,
Yep.
and there are no spot market, but they're like, unless you're a big carrier, it's almost impossible to get them.
Yep.
Okay.
So
What
that's
is-
why spot
Okay.
market is generally like 80% of the times much better and is the number one choice, because that basically there you can adapt to the market. Market goes high, you go high. Market goes low, you're trying your best to arrive to the next best market, basically.
Plus, I'm going to show you guys something. So this is for Utah. Let me zoom in. Here, let me do this. This isn't going to really, but every one of your states has this. So this is something I talked about on the last week's video. So this is a perfect example. This is the Utah Public Procurement Place. What this gives you is projects for the state of Utah. I'm giving out secrets here. This is what I'm going to be actually doing. I'm going to be doing this next week. I was supposed to do it this week, but I ran out of time. This here gives us all of the open projects, different ones, some trucking, some not, but all with the UDOT, all right? You can look at open bids, upcoming projects, closed projects. You can look at stuff that was awarded and canceled. You can look at stuff for different construction. So here's a pre-qual roofing, Weber State University. So they're probably going to need some freight, right? This is a project that's going to go for looks like 21 days for 3 weeks. And you can get, the PDF with information. You can get some sort of bid tabulation. You have Brandon Stokes as the contact person for this. There's their email. You can get their contact information. You can open a PDF and probably get more information here. There's tells you what it is, gives you contact information, who to speak with, and what the companies are. It says right here, construction cost estimate is $300,000. So they're going to have set aside money, and you're going to be able to basically take advantage of this. And, contact the company since they already won the case and say, hey, do you guys need an additional carrier? I can haul some freight for you. They can do that for you. You don't have to lease on. They can sell you a load. A lot of them will have a brokerage division. You might be able to pull out more money. Do this for your home state. Look at this. There are 12,501 results under the awarded section. Now, some are going to be older, and you may want to do some keyword filtering and some other types of filtering, but you're going to find some work for yourself. Sorry, guys. Didn't want to blow up your ears coughing. 2024 Surface Seal Project. The work comprises the preparation of city roads for high-density mineral bond seal and furnishing and installation of high-density mineral bond. I don't know anything about this, but this is the West Jordan, probably school district. That's probably what it is, which is a district in our state. There's a ton of work. Go through this. All the information's there. All the contact information's there. This right here can make you a millionaire. So I'm going to go ahead and close it. So guys, that's what I'm trying to kind of explain, that you guys can make these kinds of deals. You guys have the full availability to you, but and it's better than that, man, because you don't have to have a bond. You don't have to have those legal responsibilities. You are making business-to-business decisions, business-to-business contracting. Go for it. This is why I get so heated behind the collar, if you will, when people start saying brokers this, brokers that. Man, you can do the same thing with less requirements hanging over you. You can do it, but people don't want to do that. They want to complain about brokers stealing our money. They're taking all the money, the liabilities on us, and they're making all the money. All right, don't use brokers. Go get your own freight. And then it's crickets. It gets quiet because nobody wants to do that because, hey, then we got to write emails and contact and talk and get information and do searches and go pester people and do all this stuff. Well, guess how brokers get those deals? That's what they're doing. And then they're selling it to us. That's where dispatch comes in because we're trying to raise the rate. That's all it is. But you could do it yourself. You can cut me out, cut the broker out, cut everybody out, cut everyone out and just do direct freight. You can do it. You have that ability. But again, crickets. It's always crickets. Nobody wants to do it. I just showed you guys a website where you can get the stuff from. There's a ton of websites. You could pull the same thing for Florida, California. Every state has a Department of Transportation, and all the deals go through them. And they break it up on a database that's freely available to you, and the registration costs nothing. So there you go. I mean, there's everything. Alex, I'm going to get off my soapbox again.
Well, that's the only question I wanted to ask.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you guys taking the time and answering the question.
Thank you very much for sticking around. I really appreciate it, sir. Very good questions. And don't be a stranger. Give us a call.
Okay, I will.
Thank you, sir. Take care. Alex, I'm going to disconnect you as well. So you may want to get back on the other microphone.
There we go.
There we go. Now we got you. So thank you guys very, very much. Awesome stuff. Some really good, some questions out here. So, and I apologize. I hope they're still online. If not, hopefully they'll watch the video and we'll get these questions answered.
I wanted actually to answer one.
Yes, sir.
That
Please
was
jump
really
in.
Interesting for me. Rob here was saying, OnePlus to an LTL market. If you're willing to do the extra work and combine multiple shipments, you can do better than you would do with a normal full truckload rates. Yes and no. Yes, you would do on paper. You would do better. However, think it that way. Let's say you took 3 LTL loads in your 53 drive van, and you pick the first, you pick the second, you pick the third. The pickup always goes well, most of the times. You drop the first, and the second you get stuck for 2 days. At a third, you'll get there 2 days later. $500 to the
Penalty. Yeah.
So basically, you lost 2 days where you could make, let's say, $1,800 in this market. $1,800 to $2,000. So you lost $2,000 plus another 500. You lost $2,500, and you maybe get paid $600 more at the best. So yeah, really worth it.
It can work out, and also sometimes it doesn't.
It's very
I've heard the stories. Those guys that I mentioned earlier that were the brothers that were doing flatbeds and step decks, they told me stories about that where they get stuck. I mean, they were just as exhausted, and it takes a lot more work, especially on the flatbed and step deck side. Sometimes stuff doesn't fit. Sometimes they load it incorrectly. You're taking on more liability if freight falls on the other freight. A lot of times customers want a dedicated trailer. So there can be some issues, but LTL, yeah, if you're going to do the work and you're going to put it together, especially with the right piece of equipment, you can make more money, but just be aware that there's no free lunch and you can run into some issues. Now, Freshly Jay actually has a really good question. He says, can you please explain the USDOT and MC numbers what the difference is? And he says, I understand that you no longer need an MC number. So, Freshly, Jay, we covered this in a previous video. The MC number is going away. It is very true. It is in time going to go away. We are all going to be based on USDOT numbers. Now, the difference between USDOT and MC number is that USDOT is a regional number that you have to have in order to have an MC number, and only allows you travel that is intrastate within your home state. You don't have to cover IFTA taxes. You pay automatically on the miles that you cover within the state on your IFTA. But you don't cover outside of state, out of state. Now, the MC number lets you cross state lines, cross boundaries. And as the FMCSA refers to it, as being able to do basically commerce over state lines, crossing state lines. So that's what the MC number does. You will still have to have a USDOT number, and everything will be transferred over in a safer system for the FMCSA. And, we'll continue doing business as usual, although things will change, and it'll be interesting to see how that all pans out. Dale said your videos do show ads on them, so YouTube has obviously continued to run ads all these years, even while we've turned them off. So, so there's that.
YouTube, man.
It's YouTube. They got to get their money somehow.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. And then MS says, take a piece of the pie. I can take the pain of the commercials so you can make money giving us info. Hey, thank you, MS. Yeah, and I think that's probably what we'll do. My biggest thing was I really didn't want to interrupt your guys' videos because I hate when that happens. That's the reason why I pay for YouTube Premium. But on the other hand, I was always curious when those ads showed up. I was like, well, wait a minute. I'm trying to do a good thing here, and you guys are still doing it business as usual. Plus, the other thing is I was really concerned about advertising other dispatch companies. I would hate to make my 5 cents off of advertising, off of 1,000 views or 50 cents or whatever, but then advertise the service to a whole bunch of dispatch services, which people might misunderstand. They might be on our channel for the information. They might actually think that we're advertising some other service and we're recommending that, and that couldn't be further from the truth. So there's that. But I think things might have to change at this point. I know that. So Mr. Commander said, "Hello, drivers. How long you been in trucking?" This was a few minutes ago, and I wanted to bring it up, but we were in a conversation. He's been trucking for 11 years out here, and Dale Hansen has been on the road for 11 plus hours. On the road, so a little bit different, but I know Dale's been in the trucking business for a very, very long time, been trucking since 1996, but only 5 years OTR. And if I remember, I think Dale, you used to do a lot of the woodwork. If my memory serves me right, I think you were doing, pulling lumber and things like that with some heavy haul with some of the bigger trucks, if I remember right. Most of those government contracts require bonds and a lot of paperwork. Yeah, Dale, yeah, it's true. There is paperwork, but believe me, you can set these things up. They're usually, checklists. You can go through, get everything that's necessary. The hardest part is being able to bid correctly. I was going to bid on, when I was in Nebraska, I was trying to gain some information for an opening in the USPS position for a triangle that was going to be running 7 days a week in Colorado. And had I bid on it the way that I initially decided to, I would have gone out of business because I couldn't actually keep my end of the bargain. When I did more math and I started to run through the information, I realized that I was underbidding so low that I was going to go out of business. I actually needed to have twice the rate than what I initially came through. I had to buy an additional piece of equipment and hire 2 more people as a team in order to cover it. And because of the way that the miles were set up on that contract, it was a little too much for a single truck driver, but just not enough for 2 guys, but also running 7 days a week. the money seemed good and the idea seemed good, but I have to send those 2 drivers eventually home at some point. They can't run 7 days a week nonstop. There's not enough hours for them to run on a solo. They're going to remain in Colorado even if they live in other states, and I need a second truck in order for the work to never stop, which has additional liabilities and additional costs and insurance and all these other things that I have to do. So obviously the bidding. So you have to be very, very careful in how much money you decide to bid on it, and whatever your plan is at the end, sleep on it. Don't make any decisions, don't pull any triggers just yet. But yeah, the money's there, man. You guys can do it.
Start driving your own truck, Vitaly, very soon.
If things continue, I'm going to have to. But believe me, you don't want a Vitaly behind a semi-truck on the roads. I'm blind as a bat. It's better for me to just be behind a computer. So, no, it's probably not a good idea.
Just better live it for your brother.
Absolutely. Guys, I'm going to cover one other thing because I know we're getting into some of the stuff, some of the comments that we've had. So, for example, one of the comments was that the government at any cost can't afford for trucking to decline too far. Trucking is a national security in case of war and national disaster. That's why if it drops too far, they will go full throttle on trillion-dollar infrastructure bills, roads, bridges, electrical grid, fiber optics for internet anywhere in the U.S. and any other infrastructure. So this was a very good comment on a previous video about the 13-month consecutive drop in tonnage. And the gentleman here makes a good point. The government can jump in and create a work and opportunities. On the other hand, there was another comment by somebody else who actually said, look, we had all these infrastructure bills and all this stuff. Did that ever relate back to more truckloads for truckers? We're still waiting on that. So 2 sides to every coin, there is that. But I think both make a good point because a lot of the money just gets dispersed and mismanaged. And so therefore we don't actually see the full dollar amount, maybe 10% of it. So there is that. Another person said, fuel cost is a major factor in determining profit or loss. Sure, having freight to haul that pays a per mile rate that is profitable is also a major factor in making a profit. Absolutely. Just don't haul freight that is below making a profit per mile rate. Hauling cheap freight will always make sure that there will continue to be cheap freight. So again, yes and no on this one, because here's the thing. If you're constantly looking for good freight, so let's say you left Wisconsin in a reefer on a Wednesday going to Miami, Florida. You made really good money going in there. However, you're going to be left with cheap freight coming out of Miami. So what do? Do you just, build a bungalow and just move in on the beach? Because you're never going to get good freight, So you got to look at averages.
You can wait like 2 or 3 months and haul some watermelons.
Yeah, I guess you could do that, or the hurricane season will come in, and I guess, no, that won't help you because you're going to be even cheaper leaving if you're still in Florida. But going in, yeah, you'll bring some bottled water at really good money, and then just, move in on the beach. So the truth is that I do agree with you. There is the propensity of cheap freight. People do take it. A lot of people don't know their operating costs. A lot of people don't plan on paying taxes. A lot of people open up multiple MCs under their cousins and other people's names. They could care less, or they take gross. They work for gross. They send it overseas. There is a lot of different things that could happen, but you have to. Cheap freight is a relative term. If you go in for $5 a mile, it's okay to leave for $1.50. Something like that. Especially if it's mile for mile is equal or close to it, or
even if you go for 3.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Go for 3. If you, let's say, properly as you said, you're out of Wisconsin, you take a $3 a mile load to Florida. That's 1,300 miles, basically. That means you're making somewhere around $3,600. Okay, you go down with $3 a mile. You go up to Georgia for like $1 a mile. That's 500 miles. Basically, you are somewhere around 230 to 240 average, because the mileage that you do it for $1, it's only 500 miles. It's not 1,300 miles. Basically, a little bit over the border.
And he got you out of there.
Total distance, you go with $1 a mile.
And it covered your fuel. Absolutely. So it can be. You have to look at it. You have to look at it from 2 different perspectives. If you're going to be looking at it on a load-to-load basis, then you might as well not leave the house, because it can be bad. Like if we leave Salt Lake City, there's almost nothing coming out. So we have to bite the bullet. Now, another one also on the same video said, by what metric are you saying tonnage is down? Take a look outside on the road. Truck stops are full. Rest areas are full. Trucks are rolling down the road as far as the eye can see. How is freight down? So this was in terms of freight tonnage. So by what metric are you saying tonnage is down? The metric is tonnage. And so what happens is that there are different indices out there. So you have the ATA, you have freight waves. There's different Autry for their, the Autry is going to be your rejection rate actually. But nonetheless, there are actually multiple different ones, and FreightWaves is one of them. Like I said, the ATA does it. There's the LMI. They all track tonnage. They have different indices. They have different ways of calculating this information. But the truth is that when you have the data for one producer and it's down, and another one it's down, it's down, it's down, it's down, and you're looking at LMI with some of the smartest, people in the industry and just smartest people in general, some of the top heads of the universities, and they're seeing a consecutive, consistent decline in freight tonnage. They're actually looking at tons of freight that is being moved. So that's looking at demand, and that we're also looking at the capacity side. So when tonnage goes down, but capacity is still really high, that only exacerbates and worsens the situation. So hopefully that answers that question.
Yeah, and to add a note on that, there's a gentleman that watches us pretty much every night, every live that we do.
Awesome.
We actually spoke like 2 weeks ago. If you see a lot of trucks that are in the truck stop, that doesn't mean necessarily that they're hauling all the time. I was speaking with a gentleman like 2 weeks ago, him and 5 other trucks, they were all lined up nicely, one next to each other, waiting for a little bit over 3 days for their company to give them a load.
Yep, there's that too.
So if there are a lot of trucks up in a truck stop, that doesn't mean all of them have freight.
That's it. Sorry, guys, it was bothering me the camera. No, yeah, that's very true. So we know that there is a problem. It's just a really bad tripod. That's all it is.
It looks like you're giving us a hug.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that on a replay. So you bring up a really good point, Alex. So here's the thing. Everybody knows that we have a parking problem. There's a shortage. There's infrastructure bills going in that are going to be, in my opinion, overpriced, but nonetheless, they're going to be adding new truck stops, more facilities, different amenities, things like that. So if we cut that down and every truck stop is parked and there's trucks on the road, does that mean that the economy is doing good because a lot of trucks are parked in truck stops? I mean, let's just cut the spots in half and then they'll be completely full, and then there's going to look really beautiful. But the truth is we can't use that information to be able to judge the market. Trucks on the road, I'd rather use actual statistics, actual information that's actually tracked for a very, very long time, for years. Look at the spreadsheets, look at the available data that is provided to us versus to say, well, there's trucks rolling down the road as far as the eye can see, and there's freight moving around and things like that. You know what I mean? So there's that. The next one is an interesting one. It says all those quoted figures are still under the prevailing wage. When math is done and they are owner ops working below prevailing W-2 wage and 100% of liability, just shows how cheap the industry is and how much these people can't do math, nor think in this case. Also, zero deadhead is not right. Driver did not load and unload at the same facility. Time and money was spent to drive within a city. Also, mileage shown in city to city is not an actual address to an actual address. Differences in loaded miles can be as much as an additional 5% or more. In other words, whatever mileage is presented, add an additional 250 miles to it, which also means that the net figures are even lower than shown in this video. Furthermore, Chicago area to PA route had tolls in it, not just a tiny toll, the most expensive toll roads in the country. Take out the tolls and they're wasted their money and time. Would have made the same amount of money by sitting still and reading a book. Now, wonder how many other ignorant and uneducated people do not do the financial math properly while screwing the industry for other people. This is how screwed the industry is. Logic is flawed. And then there was another person underneath that saying that that we're part of the problem. So that's part of the reason I wanted to cover this. So there's a multifaceted question. I'm going to cover that. Thank you guys in the chat. If you guys could hit the like button, that would super help.
I could actually cover like some of it.
Go for it, man. Jump in. I'd love to hear your take on it.
Partially wrong.
So I'm going to zoom out so you can see it.
I'll start with the area where he's actually right.
Okay.
The mileage in the city, correct. There is, 5% is a little bit exaggerated. Because if you take 5% on a 2,000 miles load, that's a little bit exaggerated for a trip in the city. Unless you really like the scenic view. But other than that, yes, a little bit exaggerated. However, yes, there is a little bit of a mileage in the city. However, we could not post on YouTube direct addresses from the shippers receiver that we that we delivered because it would be a conflict.
And no
First
one
of
ever
all,
does that. I mean, everyone always shows when you're booking loads a city to city. Brokers do it, carriers do it. Everyone does it that way. When's the last time that until you got a rate confirmation, you actually got something that said it's city to city? At best, you might get zip code to zip code.
Yeah, at the best.
I'm going to give you guys another hug here.
So yeah, 250 miles to it. That's a little bit exaggerated. 50 to 60 miles, yeah, you can eventually add to it. Like on the total miles in a week, yeah, let's say you make another 50 miles in the cities. In terms of the tolls, there are a lot of tools that you can use to decrease your toll amount of a load. And usually the loads that go through a very, very expensive toll road. And also, by the way, that toll that goes from Chicago to PA can be avoided by doing 15 exactly,
15
and
extra
more
miles.
precisely 15 extra miles to avoid all of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, you're gonna go on another toll road, but it is much, much, much cheaper.
Yeah.
And same goes even for that, because you're not gonna take from Chicago, you're not gonna go straight to Ohio and Indiana to that line. Yeah, it looks nice if you put it on the map, but no, you're not gonna take that because that means you don't know how to drive your own truck. And if a dispatcher that doesn't drive a truck knows that, and you don't know it as a trucker, you might need to do a little bit more research. You might be a good driver, but you didn't do your research. So definitely do your research. There are a lot of websites that can calculate that for you. We also use it. I mean, I don't know if it's okay to use it, the name of it, but there are a lot of good services there that provide you a good GPS that calculates your tolls too and everything. So
Yeah,
we
there are
definitely
different
take you-
approaches.
Exactly.
There are
But
different approaches.
You can definitely check that.
Here's the other
So-
thing: when you're adding the miles, like Alex had mentioned, the 200, like the 5% or whatnot. So if you're saying that, the way you put it is, in other words, whatever mileage is presented at least 250 miles. Okay, that's fine. We got guys run 1,200 miles in a week. Should we still add 250 miles? Then we also got guys running 4,000 miles in a week. Should we just add that 250 miles? How does that equate to 5%? So sometimes it's going to be more, sometimes it's going to be less. Sometimes we have almost no, almost no deadhead. That's why we say like, oh, this guy did 80 miles of deadhead, 90 miles. Account for that as a percentage of loaded miles, and you will see that it's extremely, extremely low. Now, when I say zero deadhead is because we are running city to city. That's what it is. I'm not going to pop in, like Alex said, for privacy reasons, the actual brokerage information, the carrier's information. That's why I only say the driver's first name for privacy, to keep the innocent, right? So,
Yeah.
and then
it
also
actually happened that we picked up and delivered in the same facility.
yeah, and that's happened before. Yeah, exactly. We've had that happen. We've had one where the driver had to back into another door. Should we count the 200 feet, of deadhead? So I don't think that's, and we've had that happen quite a bit. Also, he also this commenter is also mentioning that that there are the tolls and other expenses. So where do we draw the line? First of all, everyone has different operating costs. Everyone has different fuel economy. The owner operators are covering their own bobtail, which means that they may value their equipment at a higher rate than it may be valued, or a lower rate, which changes their premium. And where do we draw the line on that? Should we count their IFTAs and fuel? Should we count their insurance? Because that's part of it too. What about their truck payment? Do they have one, or do they know? Is their trailer rented, owned, or is it, or they don't have one? So they're taking it from the company. There are so many different things that these videos would not be 15 minutes long. They would be endless just to cover like 2 or 3 carriers. So those in the know are fully aware. So we're not trolling. We're showing you guys the real numbers. We're sharing you guys real information. We're providing you guys free information. And when you guys text us for the permits, for all this other stuff, we're here only to help. But at the end of the day, if anybody could teach me how you can make the same amount of money as we're covering for these guys by simply sitting at home and reading a book, I would love to, because I love reading. And if I could get paid to do that, we'd certainly close down dispatch, trucking, and everything, and I just read 24/7. But I haven't found that way.
I'll fall asleep.
Well, you can watch videos, audiobooks and stuff like that. So
Yeah, audiobooks definitely.
audiobooks. So there's those. So yeah, we're not here to screw the industry. The bottom line is this: we have a lot of customers who just simply were never in a very good position to be able to negotiate, to do the jobs. As we talked about in the previous video, you guys have a ton to do. Besides driving the trucks, you have to book the trucks, you have to find the loads, do the paperwork, call insurance, handle billing and invoicing, get a shower in, get some food, get some sleep, there's so much you guys have to do. So dispatch that knows what they're doing, they're going to be able to raise your rates. They're going to be able to run you more efficiently. They're going to be able to get you better freight and get you a better week. But if you are totally against that, that's completely fine. No one's putting a gun to your head. That's completely fine. We have customers that would have been out of business had it not been for us. We have customers that would have never expanded their fleets had it not been for us. We have customers who started with us during the worst time and we got them through that time. So if there's no credit for that, then I don't know what's the point. You know, if people argue all the time and it's like, dude, if it's not your cup of tea, don't worry about it, man. It's fine. Next one we have that I actually responded to, who said that you're a great troll. Yeah, the market is there and the brokers do not negotiate. I don't know how you negotiate with brokers because they're going to, they're going after posted rates. So same thing. We were able to raise rates for our customers. We were able to take care of these things. And if you want to do the same, we're all about it, so we're all about it. We'll be able to help you guys out. So, and like I said, a lot of free information is available on our website. You can look at the recovery dates. There's a lot of different posts in the blog. You can literally just go through and just keep going next and next and next and taking a lot of time. Now, if you get to the really far back ones, that's when I was starting out, writing these blog posts back in like 2014, 2015. So they're not going to be as pretty. They're not going to be as well worded, but they're still very, very useful, and they still get a ton of traffic from people, and they're still providing a lot of value. So if something you don't find here that you need help with, you can always get in touch with Alex and I, and we'll be more than happy to help you out. What's up, Alex? I feel like some's on the tip of your tongue.
Yeah, I wanted just to add a note on it. Both of those comments, if you look at it very, very carefully, is the same pattern of the type of writing, two different YouTube accounts, but it's actually the same person.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't pay attention to that. So
I started to recognize like writing patterns and I recognize it pretty easily.
Absolutely. There's a lot of that. And there's a ton of comments like that.
And wording.
Mm-hmm. There is a lot of that.
The fact that you mentioned trolling both sides, not many people use that word anymore. Yeah. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Dale said, you have a good memory. I was in logging, yes, but now I take the 2, 3, 4 week contracts, and when they come up, and then he parks the truck and does something else when it's dead. Awesome, man. So yeah, I remember, Dale, you and I were talking, and I just didn't think this was a right fit for you. I mean, you were making really good money. You're doing logging. Your truck's totally different. And honestly, if I remember right, the truck at the time, a few years ago, you were running a cat engine, which is just not going to do very good on OTR. You're going to be getting your 5 miles a gallon, maybe 6 if you're lucky. And in this market, that is just no point. So good to hear from you, Dale. Thank you so much for the comment and clearing that up, man. I really appreciate it. Gary Gonzalez says that for capacity goes down, we need to ban the B1 drivers in U.S. or Mexican companies that are doing probably sabotage is what you're saying. So there's a lot of people, Mr. Gonzalez, Gary Mar Gonzalez is saying that the B1 visas are basically work visas that allow truckers to come in and basically operate here. And the current administration has actually allowed for 5,000 B1 visas to come out here, but in addition to that, they're actually going to be helping to finance their MC authorities, trucking, trailers, trucks, whatever they need to be able to basically help the economy. Now, I don't know how they're helping the economy of bringing in more trucks during a capacity problem where our capacity is just, there's so many trucks out there and we have tonnage issues, volume issues, rate issues, and they're bringing in more trucks. So, on your side, I do have to, definitely side with you on that one. I think there's definitely a lot of truth there.
They try to be politically correct.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. Now, here's MS saying that found your Utah public procurement page. There's a lot of stuff there that doesn't pertain to trucks specifically, but I'll keep checking just to see what's going on. Thanks. MS, here's the thing. You got to use the filters on there because really quickly, we were doing it with my brother, and we found a bunch of the right stuff that we needed. And keep in mind, other states have it too, and there are other places as well. So that may not actually be the official one that I was looking at. It does look similar. It might be the one, but I'll have to see in my brother's history that on his laptop where we left it. There's a ton of stuff there, and if you just use the right keywords and filter stuff out, you're going to get rid of all that garbage, so you don't have to look through 12,000 listings. Most of them are closed or already awarded and completed. Now look at the dates as well and see how long is the project. Some project going to be like 3, 4, 6 months or the entire summer months. Those are the ones you want to jump on. Some of them will be 3 or 4 days, and that may not be worth it to you. But depending on a company, you might be able to get in because besides those, they might have other work, and you make yourself known, make your name known. You do a good job. You provide a really good service. They might get back to you and give you a call. Literally, that's what happened with us. We did this for several years, made a ton of money doing just that on a 26-foot box truck. All right. Then we did the same thing with a semi truck with the same customers. We had two of them running at the same time. I was driving a box truck. My brother was running the semi. We'd meet, and get loaded and go in different directions. You can do it, guys. You guys can do it. Yeah. So definitely. And then, of course, we got Jack Wentworth saying different strokes for different folks. 100%, my friend. 100%. Everybody is as unique as a snowflake, but not really. And is when a Mexican driver. I never heard about that. I thought you meant sabotage. Yeah, it's when a Mexican driver comes to U.S. for a load from. Okay, so it must be there. So I'll have to definitely look into that. So definitely appreciate it. Definitely appreciate that. You learn something every time. Guys, I think we're going to call it an end. We went over our time than we normally do. I'll do a little advertising plug again. 801-448-6363. Call or text that number if you want to get set up. If you have your own MC authority, we do dispatch. If you're a lease on owner operator, you're just not making good money or your program is too expensive, get more information, talk to Kevin. He'll get you guys set up. The easiest way, you just go to our website, aftdispatch.com, and fill out the appropriate box. Dispatch service if you have your own MC, lease on owner operator if you don't. Ton of information, all our videos, all our blog posts, everything's available. Call or text that number and get set up with us. Would love to have you guys over. Same thing with permits. If you're a new carrier, you don't have your permits, get those permits. No reason to pay somebody $2,000 to set up your MC number. No reason to pay somebody $600 to get you those permits that cost little to nothing. There's no reason to pay for free information. A lot of you guys are paying for driver files. A lot of you guys are paying for information that is completely available and free. Call or text us. Talk to Alex. Talk to me. Send us a text and we'll send you those permits. The new entered audit checklist so you can pass that audit and get compliant. So all that stuff for free. We're not going to sell you nothing, none of those things. We'll offer you dispatch if you need it. If your company's too young and we can't help you out, we'll just call you back when you've aged it long enough and we'll go from there. And then he said, by the way, I'm a man. That's my daughter's name. You jumped on your daughter's account. Well, I appreciate that, man. And then MS saying, will government fund me to restart my authority in your business? Well, it depends. Do you qualify for a B1 visa? So, yeah, I don't think you want to restart your authority. Don't do it. Keep your MC authority active and clean, and that's going to pay dividends, guys. You don't want to be a new MC authority in today's market. But, guys, what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch over. I'm too used to saying that phrase. Switch over the camera and look over the loads that we book for our customers. No, we're not going to do that today. But what I do have for you guys is a really good track. For all you guys that have stuck around, the viewers at the end of the video, I'm going to pop this in here. This is a little old school, and a lot of the other guys will feel the soul. So thank you, Alex, for stopping by today. Awesome video. Really appreciate you, man. And I'm going to switch over. And we're going to listen to some music. Thank you guys for stopping by. The last request, please hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so and share the video. Thanks, you guys. Have a great rest of your week. Have a good one.
See you guys. Thanks.
Baby, can't you hear my call? Is it loud enough? You don't wanna fall. Is it loud enough? You don't wanna fall. I can't stand.
This is brokers calling dispatchers, or brokers calling themselves.
Can't stand living without you, baby. I can't stand it. Oh, hear my call, baby. Can't you hear my call?
uplifting music. Never hurt anybody.
Living without you, baby. Oh, I can't stand it. I can't stand it.
Have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you so much for stopping by. Much appreciated, guys. Have a great, great weekend. Bye-bye.